Guys, help me out here. What is this thing? I'm told that it's a piece of entertainment, but I don't see the power button anywhere on it, and why is it so thick? Have they not made a slim version of this thing yet? And I keep tapping it, but nothing seems to happen. Is it broken or something? Let me see if I could... Oh my goodness. I tore it open! Now it's ruined! Why am I so stupid? Hello everyone, Mr. Daydream here. Welcome to the show. Let me tell you about comic strips. They're short, simple, and get to the point. You got political cartoons, and you've got the funnies. It's always a joy reading these things. When your day is riddled with monotony, misery, and you struggle to find your will to live, that's me every day. Comic strips are a great way to add a little fun to your mornings. They ensure that your day isn't going to be 100% miserable. It's now only going to be 95% miserable. Back in high school, I had this math teacher who was really cool. He would bring his newspaper to class every day, and whenever I'd finish the assignment, he would give me the comic section to read. Well, after he's done reading them first, of course. And I loved the funnies. BC, Hagar, Wizard of Id, all that good stuff. Comics are certainly a great way of making your day better. Unless they openly label you as an idiot who has no hope for the future. I'm of course talking about condescending boomer comics. These are comics that only condescending boomers can enjoy, because they clearly have no idea what they're talking about. Now, just to make one thing clear, I have nothing against boomers, but what's really weird is that recently the term itself seems to have gained some form of notoriety, mostly because of that stupid "okay boomer" meme, which some headlines and even people refer as a generational slur. What? Which in turn is shaping up to be a possible TV show. Man, I was expecting the future to have hoverboards and all that stuff, but this is, I certainly wasn't expecting that. But anyways, when it comes to condescending boomer comics, not every single boomer is responsible for this, obviously. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of boomers out there who also find this type of comic distasteful. So you're probably asking, what's a condescending boomer comic? Well, it's a comic where the whole joke is that young people are too obsessed with anything that's current, usually technology, but they don't understand anything that's old, retro, or classic, such as books. Here are some examples.
Weird. Look, Dad. Someone printed out a bunch of tweets and then added extra characters to all the words.
Or, as I like to call it, a book.
I think those are broken websites. No matter how many times you click the pictures, nothing happens. Instead of powering it up, you just turn the cover to get started. And instead of clicking the next page, all you do is turn it. Pretty cool, eh?
Psst, how do you turn this thing on?
And there you have your condescending boomer comics. Very unpleasant, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, look what I found. I loved getting these Sears catalogs. I'd spend hours looking at all the stuff I'd get someday. Now Sears is filed for bankruptcy? Whew, what happened?
This is dumb. I keep swiping and nothing happens.
Oh yeah, that.
These comics in particular get old really, really fast because they all use the exact same punchline, which is how the younger generation are incapable of understanding anything that isn't related to technology or current trends. Like, it's just not funny anymore. It only comes off as arrogant and demeaning, not to mention idiotic. You really think kids are that stupid? Like, if you were to hand a book to a kid, he or she would have no idea what it is or how to use it? Come on, give kids more credit than that. What's really ironic about this is that if you truly believe kids are this stupid, then you're even more stupid than they are, because guess what? They do know what a book is and how it works. I don't think overweight textbooks are gonna die anytime soon. As nice as that would be. I bet condescending boomers who read these kinds of comics chuckle to themselves thinking, too true! Kids these days really are dumber than a sack of potatoes. They're absent-minded and lack a coherent understanding on how simple things work. It's pretty degrading, to say the least, how there are adults out there who take pleasure in having no hope for the younger generation. I also feel like that the reason why these condescending boomers go all out in these comics is because they don't expect kids to read the newspaper, so they can demean them as much as they want. Heck, going by what we've seen so far, I'm convinced that these boomers are so full of themselves that they firmly believe kids are so stupid they don't even know what a newspaper is or how it works.
How do you open a tab on this thing?
If you're a kid, reading a comic such as this is the equivalent of seeing a picture of an old man giving you the middle finger. They both pretty much have the exact same tone. There also seems to be this weird double standard created by these rude, out-of-touch cartoonists. They seem to believe that if they're familiar with books, but not so much with technology, then it must mean if kids these days are familiar with technology, then it must also mean that they're not familiar with books. Flawless logic. But see, making fun of the younger generation for being too obsessed with technology can start to get old really fast. So you need to do something new to keep things interesting and not predictable. So let's see, what can we use here? What's an idea? Oh, I know! Instead of technology being an issue, how about current trends being an issue? Yeah. Now this is what genius looks like. The most notable example of this was back in 2016 when Pokemon Go became a worldwide phenomenon. It was a fantastic time. People were encouraged to go outside and explore, get some exercise, fresh air, sunshine, meet fellow trainers, and the opportunity to catch some Pokemon. But of course, condescending boomers felt the need to ruin the fun, as they do best. So they began to churn out all these comics where the whole joke is that kids are so obsessed with Pokemon Go, they cannot comprehend anything that isn't related to it. This punchline sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
To fetch a crummy pail of water, they should have been fetching Pokemon creatures.
At Woodstock, I took LSD and saw things not really there.
Was that the Pokemon Go of the 60s, Grandpa?
I promise, there are no monsters under the bed.
Well, what about Pokemon Go characters?
Man, this is so stupid. You can tell that they have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, come on. Pokemon creatures? Pokemon Go characters? No kid has ever said such things. They just say Pokemon. Because that's the name of the creatures you catch in the game, you crusty old fool. Do more research next time. Shouldn't these folks be glad that kids are having fun? That they're actually going outside for once? Something that they've wanted them to do for so long? At least implied by the comics that they made? But no, it's popular and I don't get it. Therefore, it's a bad influence. This isn't the first time they made something so passive-aggressive and labeled it as humor. No, they did something similar back in the 80s with Pac-Man. Back in those times, Pac-Man was a huge hit at the arcade. So much so that they've even coined the term Pac-Man fever, which refers to someone who can't resist the urge to go to the arcade and play Pac-Man as much as possible. You can already tell what the joke is going to be. That's right, kids being so obsessed with Pac-Man, they cannot comprehend anything that isn't related to it.
Where's the Pac-Man machine?
Jeez, this joke is getting more old than my fossilized dinosaur turd collection. Make some new jokes, will ya? Seriously, it has been milked to death. They're not even trying to think of something remotely clever anymore. Other times they might try too hard to the point to where it's just ridiculous. You remember how they love to relish the thought that kids nowadays are so stupid they don't even know what a book is? Well, guess what? There's more! Oh, you betcha there is.
Sad, Monopoly board game pieces will soon be replaced.
What's a board game?
That's a real stretch. You're seriously telling me that there's actually a kid out there who has never experienced the stress-filled hatred that is Monopoly? Totally unrealistic.
Would you like a balloon?
How many gigabytes of RAM does it have?
Are you kidding me right now? This is a prime example of someone trying way too hard at a joke. Have they ever interacted with a kid before? Because I'm starting to think that all they do is make a bunch of assumptions, convince themselves that they're facts, and then make comics based on something that's not even remotely true. It's ignorant, arrogant, and worst of all, stereotyping. Thing is though, if there really is a kid who lives in the suburbs that genuinely doesn't know what a book, board game, or even a balloon is, then it's not the kid's fault that he or she ended up like that. It's the parents who's at fault. What kind of deadbeat doesn't teach their kid the most basic of surface level knowledge? They would much rather let technology raise their kids so they don't have to? You ever read the short story by Ray Bradbury called The Veldt? Yeah, don't be surprised if you end up sharing the same fate as those parents. Well, maybe not like that, but basically, kids might begin to favor technology over you. Oh, shoot! I just realized. That's another idea for a condescending boomer comic. Darn it. The way the joke works for this one is that kids are so obsessed with technology, they've become mindless zombies. Can I become a cartoonist too? Because it doesn't seem like it requires much effort or creativity at this point.
I'm watching zombies again.
Me too.
If your child spends way too much time on technology and you don't like it, why not do something about it? How about spending more quality time with your kid? You are their parent, aren't you? Play some sports, make arts and crafts, anything. If you don't do something about this sooner, then your kid will get so engrossed with technology to the point to where they cannot live a second without it. Remember, you're the one who bought them those infernal devices. You should be smart enough to know what you're getting yourself into. I also like the implied smugness that these condescending boomers exude when making these comics. Almost as if they're saying, yeah, that'll show them. I may not be familiar with whatever these young scallywags are talking about. What, this yellow rat? I don't know what that is. I think it's a foreign sandwich made out of gluten-free kale or something. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I can finally feel superior in knowing something that these young nitwits don't. Just to clarify, I have nothing against boomers. I just have a problem with boomers who view the younger generation as complete idiots. All because those pesky young kids can understand and enjoy something that I can't. I feel oppressed. And it's hard to take these guys seriously anymore. They act like they're a bunch of geniuses when most of them can't even tell the difference between an Xbox and a PlayStation. No, Grandpa, for the 100th time, it's not a Game Boy, it's a Nintendo DS. Noob. Wouldn't it be better if they spend more time learning more about technology and current trends? That way they can keep up with the times, stay relevant, and not out of touch? That'd be a great thing to invest your time in. But no, some would rather make comics that label the younger generation as brain-dead morons. All because those pesky kids are on their darn phones all the time. So let me get this straight. Because the younger generation are more familiar with technology, social media, and the dangers of the internet, that makes them complete idiots? Again, flawless logic. And the thing is, these condescending boomer comics can also work the other way around. The younger generation couldn't make comics where the joke is that boomers are incapable of understanding anything related to technology or anything that's currently new. Here, I'll make one right now.
How are you supposed to turn the page on this blasted thing if it won't even open?
Grandpa, you're reading that on a tablet. All you have to do is swipe the screen to get to the next page.
It's not working. I keep swiping my card and nothing is happening.
See? It's really not that difficult. If condescending boomers were to read a comic such as this, they'd probably say something like,
Hey, that's not funny at all. That's just mean. Nothing about it is true. It's stereotyping my generation and makes us look like ignorant idiots.
"Heh, now you know how we feel." But we don't bother making comics such as those. Why? Well, for one thing, there's nothing fun about it. It's just being mean for the sake of being mean. And secondly, we would much rather create new jokes instead of reusing the same one over and over again like some rude, uncreative hack. Can't we all just get along? After all, life still sucks no matter who you are. In conclusion, can we please stop these comics from getting made? They serve no real purpose other than to stereotype the younger generation, and it just shows how rude and out of touch these cartoonists really are. I mean, come on. Kids not knowing what books are, or even balloons? These guys are the real idiots here if they truly believe any of this nonsense is true. These comics are really messed up when you think about it. You have adults ridiculing kids and labeling them as complete morons. Why? Why are you demeaning kids that much? They're just kids. Cut them some slack. At least they know how to turn off autoplay on YouTube, as well as not leave the stupid cursor on the freaking video when it starts playing. And I know that someone out there will say something like,
Hey, Mr. Daydream, you don't get it. It's just a joke. You're taking a joke way too seriously. Lighten up.
listen, I can take a joke. I love jokes. But if the joke is condescending, passive-aggressive, or just plain mean for no reason, it's not funny. It's only funny if it makes sense, or if the person they're ridiculing deserves it. But this, I don't understand what they're trying to prove here. They seem to believe that kids are complete idiots. Based on what? Them being on their phones all the time? You need something more credible than that. And it wouldn't bother me so much if it wasn't for the fact that this joke has been done over and over and over and over again. It's like that stupid joke involving toilet paper. You know, the one where they're sentient and express how much their job really sucks. Only my billionth time hearing that. What makes comics such as Garfield and Peanuts so great is that anyone can enjoy them, whether they're kids or adults. But these condescending boomer comics can only be enjoyed by adults who hate kids and want to show how little faith they have in them. All because they're on their darn phones all the time. Oh yeah, kinda like how you're on your darn newspaper all the time. Again. I have nothing against boomers, but these guys are giving boomers a bad name. Kinda like how hipsters are giving millennials a bad name. We're all victims of arrogant idiots. The only silver lining to this whole thing is that there are people online making edits to these comics, and oh boy, these edits are far more accurate given the situation.
Instead of powering it up, you just turn the cover to get started. And instead of clicking the next page, all you do is turn it. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool, eh? I know how to read a book, ma'am, and that condescending attitude is precisely why I dislike coming here, and is probably related to the downward visitation trend in libraries overall.
I'm watching zombies again.
Me too.
I think we might be losing touch with our kids, and it would be a good idea to spend some quality time with them, instead of just watching TV.
Me too.
Yay!
Sad, Monopoly board game pieces will soon be replaced.
What's a board game?
You know, it's actually my fault you don't know what a board game is. A bunch of this generic gaming system, and to be honest, the only reason why I'm reading the paper is because my iPhone's charging. What do you say we go on Amazon and pick out some games and have a family board game night?
That sounds great, Dad. I love you and cherish the quality time we spend together.
Psst, how do you turn this thing on? She wrote this book, required it for her class, and charged us $200 for it. What the f***?
This is exactly what these comics have been missing out this whole time. That being a dose of reality. I just don't see the appeal of demeaning other generations for the sake of feeling superior. Just comes off as arrogant and rude. So let's just all agree that life sucks no matter who you are. No stupid comic is going to change that fact. Accept it. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to buy some avocado toast, because according to the media, that's all us millennials eat apparently. I'm never gonna be able to afford a house at this rate if I keep buying these things. Ouch! What the heck? Why didn't this door open automatically? That's what doors are supposed to do, right? Is the sensor broken on this thing? It is broken. I can't get out. What kind of automatic door is this? I can't see anything through, and I can't even pry it open. I'm trapped. There's gotta be a button to press in case you experience technical difficulties. Let's see. Oh, it must be this switch right here. What the heck? Everything got dark for some reason. Must be a new feature. I guess the best I can do is wait until tech support arrive. Any minute now.